As Israeli jets pounded Lebanon just hours into the truce, did Bibi's moves almost cost Trump the Iran ceasefire he is trying to sell as a breakthrough? Is Iran now roaring in anger that this is a direct violation of the deal, and a test of whether Washington is serious about peace at all? With Tehran calling Israel's move a surprise raid, did Netanyahu's Lebanon strike push Trump's fragile truce right to the edge before talks in Islamabad even began? Barely a day after it was announced, the U.S. Iran ceasefire nearly collapsed as Israeli strikes on Lebanon triggered a furious response from Tehran. On April 9th, Iranian officials said they had been ready to respond militarily to what they saw as a ceasefire violation, but ultimately held back. Iran's deputy foreign minister told state-linked media that Pakistan stepped in at the last moment, helping to prevent a rapid slide into new escalation. Saeed Khatibzadeh warned that ongoing Israeli strikes on Lebanon have already jeopardized the ceasefire deal and could still bring it down. He stressed that any real regional peace must explicitly include Lebanon, or the truce will never be stable enough to hold. Khatibzadeh described the coming hours as critical for the future of the agreement, hinting that Iran's restraint might not last. Tehran says Israel launched a surprise round of attacks on Lebanon immediately after Iran signaled acceptance of the ceasefire terms. He called those strikes a grave violation of the ceasefire clauses, accusing Washington of failing to rein in its ally. Even so, the deputy foreign minister confirmed that Iran's delegation will still travel to Islamabad for peace talks on April 11th. Trump, for his part, is sending Vice President J.D. Vance, envoy Steve Witkoff and advisor Jared Kushner to lead the U.S. side at the summit. Tehran is framing its own presence as conditional, warning that if Israeli surprise attacks on Lebanon continue, its commitment to talks will evaporate. The Islamabad meeting is now seen as a key test of whether this fragile two-week ceasefire can be rescued, or whether Lebanon will sink it for good. Israel has intensified its strikes on Lebanon in recent days, saying it is targeting Hezbollah positions and infrastructure linked to Iranian support. Reports indicate that Israel launched around 100 suspected strikes on Lebanese territory within a 10-minute window on April 8, suggesting a concentrated, high-intensity campaign. These strikes in Lebanon have reportedly killed over 110 civilians and wounded more than 800 others, drawing sharp condemnation from humanitarian groups. The situation has highlighted growing disparities between the sides over whether the ceasefire includes the Lebanon front or only applies to Iran directly. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance have both stated that the America-Iran truce does not apply to Lebanon, treating Hezbollah as a separate conflict. In his public remarks, Netanyahu also warned that Israel could resume full-scale war with Iran at any moment in order to complete the original war goals.
We have more goals to complete, and we will achieve them either by an agreement or by renewing the fighting. We are prepared to return to fighting at any moment necessary. Our finger is on the trigger. A temporary two-week ceasefire between the United States and Iran went into effect tonight, in full coordination with Israel. No, they did not surprise us at the last minute. Now I want to emphasize, this is not the end of the campaign. This is a stop on the way to achieving all our goals. And with regard to the enriched material, uranium, that still remains in Iran, as senior Trump administration officials said, today the enriched material will be exported in its entirety from Iran. Either it comes out with an agreement, or it comes out with renewed fighting. And we see eye to eye on this issue.
I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. Now, that said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful.
Lebanon is also pressing for answers on what exactly the ceasefire covers, as Israeli jets keep striking Beirut and other parts of the country. On April 9th, Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam called Pakistan's Shehbaz Sharif to discuss the truce terms and Islamabad's role as mediator. Salam reportedly asked Pakistan to confirm in writing that Lebanon is included in the Iran war ceasefire, not left out as a grey zone. His request came in the wake of deadly Israeli raids that Lebanese officials say have killed more than 200 people in just a few days of bombing.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.